I actually had some points of discussion for today. I want to talk about something that has been on my mind for a little bit now, and I want to get some opinions off of you guys. I know Ipoa will have a few things to say about this, but Kudra's, like the Kudra boss fight in Hypixel Skyblock, is like one of the worst additions to the game. That's my opinion, and I have a lot of reasoning as to why I feel that way. So the first thing that I want to cover, which is like a big underlying issue that I have with the Kudras, is the fact that the update took 10 months to release, which is like a major thing you got to consider when you look at the way that the boss actually works and, you know, the whole situation of it. Has gotten the audacity to call the Kudra fight when the release, before it was museum. Okay. The museum update was rubbish, okay? We all know that. It didn't really add anything of value compared to, like, the Dwarven Mines. But no, the Kudras I would consider would be worse than the museum because it had so much good potential and it was so anticipated to be so great. And it was a major letdown when it was released. And why do I say it's a letdown? Well, I'll cover a couple of reasons. So, the first thing is the boss fight itself is literally just a bunch of reused things of the Hypixel Skyblock plugin, just repurposed a little bit differently. Like, the cannons are just the Jerry Island cannons, but repurposed to be the Kudra ones that shoot the cannonballs, right? The chest at the end of the boss fight is literally just the dungeon chest that you get in after every dungeon run. So that's not anything new either. And obviously, I'm not saying this is a bad thing, like, oh, you know, the chests look terrible and they should be fancier, you know, that's not what I'm saying. The plugin, what was used to make that, has already been in the game, right? And everything else is very basic. The mobs are just reskinned zombies, or they might have their own player models or something. But, like, the mobs aren't anything special either. And everything just feels like it's already been done. Like, all the mechanics have already been done before. So, like, 10 months? 10 months for a boss fight that can be done in 2 minutes? Like, really? I feel like is way longer than it should have taken. Way longer than it should have taken. Now, the other issue that I have with it is the boss fight itself, right? Not only did they reuse all of these, like, sprites. I'm gonna call them sprites. I mean, they're just models or whatever. But the fight itself is so easy. Like, the Nether update was meant to add all this new content, especially for, like, endgame players and make the game a little bit more challenging or whatever. As far as I'm aware, I mean, it has things for non-endgame players too. But, like, it's just so easy that you can literally get sub 2-minute runs with the basic tier. And the hot tier takes, like, 5 minutes with a really good team. It's nothing special. And then what's worse is it didn't take very long for people to do all the boss fights super quickly. And they didn't release the harder ones. The Infernal tier is at the top one. The Burning tier, I think, is the third one. The Burning tier is not out. I don't know what the one in between Infernal and Burning is. I don't know. The last 3 tiers, they're not in the game yet. And the Nether update's been out for at least 2 months now. I know that for a fact. It might be close to 3. And then, to lead in with all that, it's super farmable, it's really easy, and the rewards are trash? like the rewards are junk, at least with dungeons, right? I'm gonna compare to dungeons, because dungeons, realistically, is the only, like, proper end game piece of content that most people will go for in this game. Most people try to earn money and get all these coins to max out a dungeon setup, and then to do dungeons efficiently. That's pretty much what everyone does. I think it's safe to assume that. At least with dungeons, like, yes, it's a repetitive boss fight in the sense that, you know, you have secrets, and then after those secrets, you go to the same boss, and then once you do the boss, that's it. You do it again. More secrets, boss. More secrets, boss. More secrets, boss. Like, there is repetition there. I'm not mad about the repetition, but dungeons don't take 2 minutes to complete. Dungeons don't take 5 minutes to complete. Dungeons was a year in the making, but it was brand new. Like, it wasn't anything that Skyblock had before. It wasn't like sprites or models or an idea that had been implemented with a different aspect of the game or anything, like Kudra was, just ripped off of other things. Dungeons is a little bit more fulfilling in that sense. And the other thing as well with the secrets, like the secrets are repetitive, but you will never load into a dungeon that is identical to one that you had just done. Like, every single dungeon and order of rooms will be different. because it has a massive, like, not even that big. It's probably got, like, what, is it like 100 rooms? I don't know, 100 is a very random number. There's quite a few rooms that the game can pick from, and it'll just, like, randomly select the amount of rooms it needs to. The boss fight doesn't change, but if the boss fight did change, that'd be really bad, because you can't get good at it. You can't get good at it. There's no real reason to, like, farm it. Dungeons loot at least makes good money. You know, Necron handles are very expensive. Master Stars are good too. Master Stars actually provide value because you can put those Master Stars back into the armor you use, and then you can use the armor to do more dungeons, and then people consider dungeons to actually be more fun than Kudra's. But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was really underwhelming, really disappointing, and I did do 2 videos on the Kudra fight, and I spent around 20 odd hours. Basically, if you add up all the time I spent, it was pretty much like a full day's worth of grinding, and all in all, it was just like, meh? I don't know. I thought it was disappointing. Kudra Teeth, I guess, is one of the big valuable things because you can use it to upgrade your gear. But then what's the point of upgrading the gear when there is nothing to use that gear with? Like, I have this Aurora set, and since I did all those Kudra runs with the team that I did for the videos I made, I have not touched this Aurora set since then. I kid you not, bro. I put hot on my chest plate. I have 10-starred leggings and boots. I have the wither goggles I've already had. Like, I have this set, and I don't have a reason to use it. Like, there's nothing in the game that really needs it other than Kudra, and Kudra itself is just dead. It's so lame. Oh, man. And then there's also other issues. Like, it kind of feels like the wait time to get into the run is almost as long as the fight itself. It can take up to, like, a minute to get into the run if you're not doing the weird trick where you, like, unparty, and then, you know, you kick the leader, and then, like, a different guy queues in, and then you re-party the leader, and then warp the leader. If you don't do that, actually getting into the run can take a lot of time, considering that the runs usually only last, like, 2 minutes for the basic tier, which is pretty poor. It would be nice if, like, at least the gear was worthwhile, because the farmability could be a really attractive option for some people. I know there's people in this game who would love the idea of being able to do 2-minute runs just back to back really quickly and consistently. Like, there is a market for that, but there's no reason to. So they'd have to work on that, man. The Molten Drops barely even sell for that much money, realistically. Like, an extra 2 mil. Is it really that good? Oh, yeah, and then also getting the keys for some might be more of an inconvenience as well. I know for me, it was a bit of an inconvenience because I don't really play this game too much. You know, I hop on here and then, and I like to record and make videos on here, but as someone who, like, dedicated time specifically to getting keys and keys only was a little bit of an inconvenience. Obviously, someone who plays the nether stuff more, like, they might do a bit of trophy fishing in a fishing party where they get vanquishes, stuff like that, then keys aren't going to be that big of a deal. But for me, it certainly was. For me, it certainly did take up a lot of time. So I feel like that's also a bit of an unattractive option for your average dungeon player, for example. Kudra has already earned you over 1 billion coins at this point. Yeah, but how many runs have you done? How many runs have you done, bro? If you've done over 1,000 runs, any dungeon player could say the same thing. I have done 400 floor 7s on the dot. I dropped 2 handles in 226 runs. Both of which, at the time, were valued only at about 400 mil. Nowadays, they're worth like 1 billion. So I have made also well over 1 billion coins from dungeons. Floor 7 alone. That's not the point, though. Like, yeah, I've done all my floor 5s, I've done my floor 4s, my floor 3s, and they've all earned me really good money as well. Floor 5, I have 2 chestplate drops, and then like 1 or 2 livid daggers. Never seen a Shadow Fury, and Last Breath I bought, but it wasn't profit. I just kept that one. In floor 4, I've gotten quite a few bones and wings, and at the time, the bones were really good. The wings, I don't know, probably around 10 mil as well or something. But yeah, you have 594 Kudra runs and you have 1 billion coins. Yeah, but you have what? 2 Fatal Tempos? No. Didn't you get 2 Infernos? Or was it 3? Anyway, Kudra profit, generally speaking, isn't that great. I was pretty disappointed. And the Nether update as a whole, I feel like just needs so much more life to it. It had potential and it's just sort of like fizzed out. Realistically, the only good thing you have on the Nether update right now is trophy fishing. And if you don't want to trophy fish because you're not a fan of the really monotonous task of getting these cute little fish in higher tiers and then maxing out this like collection, I'm referring to like the bronze, iron, gold, diamond, then you don't really have much to do on the Nether Islands. You've got dailies, but like, why would you do your dailies? What are they for? What do they do? Why do you need reputation? Oh, for the future things that they're gonna add? But when are they gonna add them? If it's already taken them like 2, almost 3 months to not even bring out the burning tier of Kudra, then who knows how long it's gonna take for them to add anything that requires like proper reputation and stuff. I don't know, man. At least with Dungeons, right? The impact that Dungeons had on Hypixel Skyblock was enormous. Like, people were very disappointed. They're like, oh, it was overhyped. It really wasn't that good. It didn't live up to its name and blah, blah, blah. But honestly, man, you can't really say that when Dungeons is like the #1 goal. I swear, every mid-gamer ever wants to get into Dungeons. They get their carries and they get 3/4 Shadow Assassin as quick as possible. And yeah, like, yeah, that's what the majority of the end game content still is after, I don't know the specifics, but I'm gonna guess a year and a half. That's bad, bro. That's bad. And yeah, you add a new boss fight, a new piece of content that's supposed to kind of mimic, like potentially mimic that feel, that satisfaction that Dungeons gives, and it just fails miserably at it. You're also type of person that enjoyed boss rush modes more than story modes when playing games. You mean, oh, that would be brilliant. That would be really good. Yeah, you mean like an endless mode to Kujra where it just keeps on getting harder and harder and harder and harder until you get absolutely swarmed. And endless mode does sound really good. Like, if they have, yeah, you have the 5 tiers, which, like, they need to add them first. You know, so you add the first 5 tiers, the ones that aren't out yet, and then you can add like an endless mode, which just gets harder and harder until it's literally impossible. And then that would actually be really good because it adds an element of competition. And with that competition, you know, people are competing for like leaderboards and stuff. Who's got the longest time? Who can survive the longest, you know? I guess I'd have to also fix a couple things if they do that though, because you could theoretically just like sit on the side of the map and just not die. Because you can do that. You can like TP all the way to the side of the map and just sit there, but you won't kill the Kujra boss. So I don't know how they do that. I guess if you could just make it so that the score goes up the more damage you deal to the tentacles or something. Although that being said, you know, it sounds like a good idea in theory. I know for a fact I wouldn't play that. There's no way, bro. I might do it once or twice. I might do it as like a stream or a video where I try to push the limits and see how far I can go. Maybe try and go for like some level of a record. Not really a record, but like, you know, go for a pretty high score where it's considered good. But other than that, I don't think I'd do it again, really. It's not something that I'd like actively play. I do enjoy Kujra, I guess. Like, I did like the Kujra videos that I did, and the prep was pretty fun. I mean, doing all those mini bosses was kind of cool. I don't know, it was just like a relaxing thing to do. I'd like come home from school, I'd do my homework or studies or whatever it was, and then I'd like hop on for like an hour and just like cycle mini bosses for a bit, and it was just like a fun thing to do to pass the time. But I wouldn't do that again. The real motivation behind it was like the 50 runs that I wanted to do afterwards, because I really wanted to see what it would be like and the whole experience and whatnot. After doing it, thinking about it for a little bit, not a little bit, over a period of a few weeks, I've come to the conclusion that I probably wouldn't do it again. It's just not worth it. I don't know. Unless you generally really enjoy the whole aspect, everything about it, and you don't want to just do it for the money, I don't think it's worthwhile. And to each their own, I guess. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Kujra, really. Kind of unfortunate. Do that. Summon the volunteer workers, guys. The non-mandatory workers.